Alicia Magnus Lewis here with the Los Angeles Tribune, and I have the absolute pleasure of sitting here with Susan Shatzer, who is a producer on the film The Pillars of Power. She is an entrepreneur, and she is a force of fun. Yes, I said it, a force of fun. So Susan, I mean, there's so many questions that I want to ask you right now, but I want to anchor us today in why did you choose to be a producer and a part of the Pillars of Power? Because I think that says a lot about you and the work that you do.
Yeah, thank you so much for just like diving in deep, like with the very first question. I love it because the Pillars of Power are 5 different areas of our lives. And when you look at the Pillars of Power, we're not all like honed in on each of them. Some were high in some were low in others. And with myself, it's taken an extremely long period of time. I'm 56 now, to be able to tap into those 5 and be able to take a look at, you know, where I am, where things are, where they're headed. So when this movie came forward, and you and Donna and Mo approached me and said, hey, you know, this is something we're doing. Does this resonate with you? It was like an absolute yes. Because I feel like my own personal experience and the work that I've been doing with clients will contribute to not only those cast members, our production crew, but our audience as well.
I love that. And for you, what is an inflection point that you can kind of sit back and think about that shifted you from doing what you thought you were supposed to do to what it is that you knew you were meant to do for you, not for anyone else, but for you yourself?
I love this question. So 8 months after my son was born, I lost the vision in my right eye, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which is an autoimmune disease. And at that time, I had no idea what it was. When I got the call from the doctor, it was like, hey, you know, you have a 51% chance of having this. And I'm like, okay, let me go get a piece of paper and I'll write it down, a multiple. Okay, how do you spell that? How do you spell sclerosis? So he spelled it out for me. I said, this is what I said to the doctor. I said, look, I'm gonna give you my pharmacy phone number. Go ahead and call in whatever prescription you need, and I'll have my husband pick it up on the way home from work. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna have your primary care call you back within 5 minutes. She was on the phone with me and said, hey, I need you in the hospital right away. Don't go to the emergency room. We already have you checked in, like you need, and pack a bag for a week. And I'm like, I just gave birth. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, there's nobody here to take care of this. So I realized at that moment, I was in an abusive marriage. My closest family lived 8 to 10 states away. I had an infant, he wasn't even 1 yet, and my whole life just fell apart. It was nothing that I grew up with as a little girl. That was the dream that was supposed to happen. I had checked off all the boxes of what I was supposed to do, what I have to do, what I should do, what I must do, to be the good daughter, the good neighbor, the good wife, the good mom, and this is what happened to me? I'm like, hello, we have to reevaluate what is happening and what direction this is all going in. And that was the pinnacle moment where I said, this can't be all there is. There has to be something else here.
Wow. So when you said there has to be something else here, and you were at that moment where everything that you thought about, had in your life, you're like, this, I don't know what it is, but it's not this. What did you do? Like, how did you move from that place to continuing to evolve to figure out, okay, so what does feel right for me? Not look right, but feels right for me and what my needs are and where I'm at. Because a lot of people, they're in a position where it's just not what they thought it was going to be. They're not happy, they're not safe, they're not sure what to do next. They're not sure about their health and the future of their health. So what did you actually do?
So I did a lot of crying.
That's good. It's good for the soul.
A lot of crying. There was a lot of emotional letdown, a lot of, you know, this can't be me, this can't be happening. There was a loss and a grief, and, you know, when you are losing literally everything, like your identity, you know, I would see pictures of myself, and I was like, yeah, I know that's me, but I don't recognize that person. It was like there was a whole identity shift that took place, and that Susan was no longer. and had a new Susan. And this new Susan was walking, talking, breathing, living with a chronic illness that you're never supposed to get better from. Like, it's supposed to progress and you're supposed to get worse. So I'm actually like a miracle, according to the neurological crew, the doctors, because they lost count when they took a picture of my MRI of my brain. And they just stopped. They go, she has more than 20 lesions on her brain, which is scarring. And they just stopped there. Like, I never actually have found out how many lesions I have on my brain.
Didn't matter to you.
Yeah, right.
Moving
I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then they take pictures, MRIs of your cervical and thoracic, and I have 1 to 2 on every single spot going down. It only takes 1 to never walk again, talk again, swallow, breathe. Like, all of your nerves go right to the spine. And when I walk in to a doctor's office and they look at me, they're like, am I in the right room? Because they perceive my diagnosis, my evaluation as this person who should be in a wheelchair, in a hospital bed, not moving, not talking, struggling, mobility. And I've outcreated that. So I've been creating new neural pathways ever since. And that's what started my research into, what causes it, what creates it, how to outcreate it in the quantum. I do a lot with just the different facilities and faculties and molecules and consciousness evolving like all around me. And that has contributed to me in a way that is so profound, there's actually no words for it, Alicia.
What a journey, right? To say, I hear you, doctor, but I don't believe you. Like, whatever you say my outcome might be, there is a new way. And you talked about creating a different way for yourself. How are ways that you now show people what is possible for them through the experiences you've had for yourself? Not that your experience will be everyone else's experiences, but just the knowingness that it doesn't matter what's being said about you, it doesn't matter what you have believed about yourself, that you can actually create a different way for yourself.
Yeah, there was a belief system that I had and most people have going into like an education kind of meeting with me. And it's that it happened to me. This happened to me, that happened to me. And our whole life, that's what therapy and counseling and guidance has been. It's like, so well, how did you feel when that happened? What happened after that? And when you're in, it's like, well, how did you feel after that happened? And so you're taught that everything happens to you. And in doing my research, nothing is happening to me. I'm creating my reality. And so my subconscious creates the reality.
Yeah.
And scientists have documented that. And so I learned that I have the ability to go into someone's subconscious and I pull out the unconsciousness that's in there. It's the stuff that no longer serves them. It's the old systems, old programming. And in doing that, I was able to do that with myself first.
Yeah.
And when I did that, I could feel my cup, which was full, was dumped out. And I had more room in my cup, which is my life and my body. Yeah. And at that time, then I could invite in that which I'd like to have into my life. So when you dump out the old, your frequency automatically raises because you're not holding on to everything that everybody else told you you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And it was a profound moment when I realized that I not only could do that for myself, but I could do it for other people as well.
And there's so much piece, I think, of understanding when you work with someone that's not just saying something to say it, but has lived it and experienced it. When you work with clients, this is going to be an interesting one here. What are kind of the audible shares of resistance that they may share initially if they never explored or thought about doing the work, but they're actually at that right time and space where it's time? Because sometimes people believe or think that, okay, there might be another way, or maybe there's some things that I'm doing that aren't serving me, but they're actually not sure how to take the next step, or they start working towards the things that may help heal them, and then they say something that's not in alignment with that and may not even be realizing that they're slowing down that path or that journey for them. So I'm kind of curious, what kind of expressions of resistance have you heard? Because I think that will be helpful for people tuning in, that if they've maybe shared them or said them in their past, that they might have the opportunity to think about it in a different way.
Absolutely. So for me, well, here on planet Earth, right now in the third dimension, we have like attracts like. So in order for someone to show up in my reality, whether it's online or in person, they have to be a vibrational match for who and what my frequency is, or they're asking a question that I have the awareness of that I can provide to them. So it's sort of identifying, are you a colleague or are you a client, kind of a thing. Like, are we going to be partying, playing together, or are we going to be am I in service to you?
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that sort of show up. So they're already ready to receive what I have, and being able to go into someone's reality, I can see where they are, what they believe, where their locks, blocks, and stops are.
Yeah.
Is it religion or what they were brought up with, or what their belief system? It could be something that was passed down from previous generations. Like, all of that is shown to me, and I'm able to navigate around it, and it's a beautiful thing for them, because they're like, you hear me, you understand me, you know me.
I love that. So if you're listening to this right now, that means that you are ready. Right? You have been pulled into Susan's space, and you are ready to go down that journey of releasing, of letting go the things that don't serve you. Because if you weren't ready, you wouldn't be tuning into this today. Susan, so curious here, what are the things that you exude kind of joy and vibrancy? What are the things that bring you joy today? And are those things that have always brought you joy, or have you come to learn to enjoy, pun intended there, all of that beingness, from the inside out?
Yeah, I like to spell enjoy, I-N-J-O-Y.
Me too. I literally, in my notebook, because it's like I'm living in the joy.
Yes.
Right. Instead of
exactly.
enjoy, I'm living in the joy.
Right. Because you're having it. And enjoy is the present moment. So, that is just one of the things that kind of shows up, like, randomly, sporadically, radically, dramatically, and permanently.
Yeah.
Like, that's the change that we're looking for. That's the change that people are asking for. They're like, look, we've tried self-help books, we've done seminars and webinars, I've been to counseling, I've gotten a guru and a master and a mentor, and like, it's still not where I'd like to be, because you were taught to figure it out. We all were. Yeah. We were taught to figure it out, make a good choice, find the right answer. That's not what Earth is. Earth is all about energy, and energy is the frequency. That was your first language.
Yeah.
When you were born. It's not English or Spanish or French that you were taught in your household. So we're taking a step back and going, let's go back to the energy of things and identify what's real, right, and relevant for you. And in doing that, you feel this authenticity, like, drop in, and you just feel like you're seen, you're heard, you're acknowledged, and you're able to, like, step out in a new you at a higher potential.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And for you, Susan, so you're a producer of Pillars of Power, but right now, what are the things that you are working on that just really light you up? Really light you up, that like you have fun with, but you're making impact with? What are some of those things?
So let me get the list started. I have like the Santa Claus list.
Let's pull it out.
Alicia,
Let's pull it up.
It's rolling down. Can you see it?
This is the list that I think everyone's list should be this long, because look how you light up when you talk about it.
Yeah, because I just snorted. Did you hear that?
Joy.
Did everyone else hear it?
Joy in the present
I just
moment.
laughed and snorted at the same time. So, and there's no naughty list or nice list.
Yeah.
Like, it's the list.
Yeah.
And so I actually don't have a point of view as to what's first, what's second, because each individual item has its own energy.
Yeah.
And I don't own it. So I'm contributing to it. So I'll tap in and ask each one, like, what are we doing today? What would you like to do? How can I contribute? Is there something you'd like for me to search, or a person I want you to connect with, kind of a thing? And I have to tell you, some of the most amazing things have shown up when I do that, because you can't quantify it.
Yeah.
It's like, it falls into the unbelievable category.
Okay, so now that we're talking about lists, because I like that the list is so long. So oftentimes people think of to-do lists, it's like things you have to do. I don't like that because I feel like it's a little restrictive. So I look at the things that I'm looking to get done as my get to-do list. Like, I get to do this today. I get to show up in this space. I get to be having this conversation with you and kind of reframe that. But I love what you said. You were talking about your list and you were asking the things on it. What can we do with this? What would you like me to do? Who do you want me to connect you with? How do you talk about the things that you get to do in your life to yourself and infuse that energy of intentionality, but also allowing yourself to be guided through the process of whatever is about to happen?
Yeah, so one morning I woke up, and when I looked at my hand, Alicia, I didn't see like a nail or wrinkles or knuckles or anything like that. I saw an outline with like particles in the middle, like just little dots moving around. And I was like, okay, where's my hand? And I moved it back and forth, and I could see the outline of my hand moving, and then there was the carpet or the floor behind it. And I was told, that is reality. This is the illusion. So in that whole gift scenario experience, I'm able to be aware that there are things outside of ourselves that we aren't willing to acknowledge, we don't know about, we're uncertain, there's no foundation to move from, there's no place of reference to kind of create from. And so I was starting at ground level.
Yeah.
And so each molecule has consciousness, and so everything started to talk to me. Like everything. Like chairs and couches and pillows and blankets and, the food I was eating and the clothes I was wearing, they all, because, as soon as they realize, you can hear that.
They start getting chatty.
Yeah. So then everything starts having a point of view about things. So I think I spent a week in bed and was like, I have to figure out how to be able to navigate the world with this.
Yeah.
So I created in my world, in my reality, a mute button. So I could mute everything and I could unmute according to, what it was. So I just started to run sequences of, okay, this will talk to me at this time, this has access at this time. And it's been great. It has been amazing. Because I get the information I need when I require it, and I don't have the extra stuff that would weigh me down and just clog the pipeline of energy flow.
Wow. That's remarkable. So for people that are awakening to their gifts, because that is a gift of yours, and may not understand what that gift is and how it's there to support them in their lives, what are kind of 2 or 3 guidance points that you'd like to share as you awaken and starting to understand and explore and potentially, I throw this word out there, play with your gifts to really understand what they were trying to show you and teach you? Because sometimes people are so gifted, oftentimes most people are gifted, and when they don't understand their gift, they can push it away. So how can people learn to share space with their gifts over time so that it can actually support them in the things that they're doing?
Yeah, I had a very similar experience with that because I'm from Massachusetts and I was brought up with Catholicism. So I don't know if we mentioned the story when I was born. So my mom's water broke on August 22nd, Alicia, and I wasn't born until September 8th.
Wow.
Right? So my whole life, it was this running joke. If anyone's going to be late, it's going to be Susan. Ha, ha, ha. She was late to her birth. Right?
Yeah.
So I was wrong. I was made wrong my whole life, right? So as I was expanding and becoming more, active and aware, my angelic team tapped me on the shoulder and said, do the math on that. I was like, oh, okay. So I get the calendar out and I was like, that's 18 days. 18.
Yeah.
In utero. 18 days. I was like, oh my God. So I turned to my dad. I was like, Dad, did you realize I was in there for 18 days? He goes, of course not. Like, how did you not know I was in there for 18 days? He goes, because we didn't track that stuff back then. I mean, I'm 56. I was 68 back then. But I was in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is pretty, Harvard, Boston Medical, is very pro-medical. So I said, well, what did the doctor say? He says, well, the doctor said every day when I got home from work to take your mother on a bumpy road and we'd get you out. I was like, and how'd that work? That was the best
it's like 18 days.
I said, how'd that work? He goes, not very well. I was like, so then what happened? So it was so interesting. I was asking, so where was I? Was I even in the body yet?
Yeah.
Was I not coming, not going? Like, what was happening? Was the body dying? Like, what was going on? And the time stopped. I could see every particle in the room. Alicia, this dream screen drops down. And I can see myself in heaven with the Lord, and I'm arguing with him. And I don't know if you've never argued with God before, but it was interesting. It's a no-win-win situation. Like yes, it is. Been there.
Different context, but yes, I hear you there.
And there's just this like element of, look, I know the rules up here. I'm like, I get to choose. I said, and I'm tapping out. This life is filled with disease, heartache, betrayal, no trust. I said, I'm not doing that. I'll wait 100 years. I said, Earth will be a nicer place. Humanity will play better together.
We'll come back then.
Yeah.
But he said, no, because you're here.
Exactly. And he said, no, it has to be you and it has to be now. And I'm like, why? It's just this like, there's millions, trillions of other souls up here. Like, pick another baby, pick someone else. And he said, no, it has to be you. And he opened his arms and he said, look here. And I was like, wow. I looked in and it was like as if he had taken silver glitter and threw it up in the air and it was all twinkling on its way down. I looked in and I said, what are those? And he goes, those are the souls waiting for you to get to Earth, for you to help them on their soul's evolution, which is why they're incarnating. I was like, oh, like it's bigger than me kind of.
We got work to do.
Yeah. Oh, I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Took my first breath.
Wow.
So you can imagine how long it was in heaven if it was 18 days on Earth for me to get here.
It was a while, but we're so glad you're here because you do so much. You're connecting with so many people. You've been so instrumental to the Pillars of Power film produced at the Los Angeles Tribune, which is here to impact souls, hearts, and minds all around the world. So if you're tuning into this, we encourage you to watch the Pillars of Power because there's going to be something in you that resonates with the messages that are shared by the individuals in the cast that are from all around the world, that have had so many different experiences, that have so many different gifts and speak in such different language. But that is the point, so that you can find yourself, not in any one person, but in some of the principles, concepts, experiences that people have shared, so you can get a little bit closer to you and to your heart and to your soul's purpose. I love that. Susan, as we come to a close, what is something that you have on your heart that you'd like to share, whether you shared in the past with a friend, with a client, you've journaled about it and no one has heard it ever before, but you feel like it's time? What is that message that you want to tell people?
The message would be that you're here for a specific reason, season, vacation. And everything you're going through right now happens to be exactly what you pre-ordered before arriving here. And you're actually in a play. And so as you chose your experiences for your soul's evolution, people agreed to give you those experiences and you agreed to give other people experiences. And the fact is, you've never done anything wrong. Everything has already been pre-designed for you to have an experience, both giving and receiving. And with that, you can then move forward by calling the show over, letting the curtain drop, receiving your standing ovation, and exiting stage left to create the new play that you'd like to call your life.
For those of you that are tuning in right now, I personally encourage you to replay what Susan just shared, because it was powerful, because it shows you that you're doing what you're doing. Acknowledge it. You're not wrong. And you can figure out a way to create in a different way. But give yourself care, give yourself that grace, give yourself that understanding. Wow, there are so many more questions that I'd love to ask Susan. But for today, our conversation has come to a pause because this is one that we have to continue. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Susan, for joining us
You're
today.
so welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. This is our grand slam.